All right, folks, here we're here to talk about dilations, our last type of transformation. Our essential question today is, how can I use the coordinate plane to dilate an image? So you may have heard of that term dilate before, especially if you've gone to the eye doctor before. They do that with your eyes. They enlarge them to do tests and check things, I guess. I don't know. I don't really go to the eye doctor, except one time I got hit in the face with a baseball, and they said my eye was in there still, and there was nothing wrong with me sight-wise. Obviously, other problems as well. So let's define dilation. It is the transformation that enlarges or reduces a figure by a scale factor to a center point. I'm not going to really worry about that center point part, but the scale factor part, that is important. So we should probably define that here as well. It's mostly known by the letter K. That's the variable that we used for scale factor. And it's just the ratio of the lengths of two corresponding sides of two similar polygons. All right. So what that means is we're going to be taking an image that we put on to a coordinate plane, and we're going to make it bigger or smaller based on a scale factor. All right. So let's start with a figure. Example 1. We'll have triangle ABC. A is going to be at -1, -1. B is going to be at -2, 2. And C is going to be at 2.50. All right, so don't lose me based on that. All right, so we have those points. Let's go ahead and put them onto our graph page. Remember, when I'm graphing, I go to the left and then down if it's two negatives. And my first number tells me how we move left and right. The second number tells me how we go up and down. 2.5, I'm just going to go over 2 and then just halfway between 2 and 3 and up 0. All right, and that is C. So I'm going to connect these 3 points, creating our triangle. All right, so we have that. So now we're going to enlarge it, or we are going to reduce the size of this figure. All right, so our direction that I'm going to give you here is we're going to dilate as K, or the scale factor, equals 2. And what that means is we're going to take this number, 2, and by dilating it, that means we're going to make it larger since this number is larger than 1. So we're going to make this image bigger. And how we do that is we take every single one of these points and we multiply it by 2. So what that means there is -1 times 2, -1 times 2 for A. For B, -2 times 2, and then 2 times 2. And then for C, 2.5 times 2, 0 times 2. And when I do that, that's going to give us our A prime, our B prime, and our C prime. -1 times 2 is -2. -1 times 2 is, well, it's still -2. -2 times 2 is -4. 2 times 2 is 4. 2.5 times 2 is 5. And 0 times 2 is 0. So those are our three new points. So when we graph that, we can kind of see what's going to happen here. -2, -2 is right here, and that's going to be our A prime. -4, 4 is right here, and that's going to be our B prime. 5, 0 is right here. That's going to be our C prime. And there we go. We've enlarged it. This is doubled. This is doubled. That has doubled. That's what it means to dilate it. Hopefully, that stuff kind of makes sense to us. We'll also see having to go a different way. Now, we're not going to graph this one, but we're going to do the math only on this. So, example 2. Going to be triangle, DEF. So let's make D -8, 4. Let's make E 4, 8. Let's make F 8, -8. All right. And we're going to take these images and we're going to dilate as K equals 1/4. So now, since my scale factor is less than 1, we're going to make our image smaller. We're going to do the same type of thing that we did before. We're just going to multiply all of these numbers by 1/4. A good way to multiply by 1/4 is the same thing as dividing by 4. It's saying the same thing. But before we do that, our movie quote for today is... it's Czechoslovakia. We zip in and zip out. It's not like we're going into Moscow. All right. So, to get our new points, I don't necessarily have to show that set of work like we did in the previous problem. I'm just going to kind of create my D prime, my E prime, and my F prime. And I'm going to take these numbers, -8 divided by 4, or -8 times 1/4, saying the same thing. That's going to give me -2. 4 times 1/4 is 1. 4 times 1/4 is still 1. 8 times 1/4 is 2. 8 times 1/4 is 2. -8 times 1/4 is -2. So those are our 3 points. We shrunk this down to that. All right. Hopefully that makes sense for our last type of transformation. I believe it's a little bit easier than rotations. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. There's plenty of stuff on Google Classroom for me to practice. And there's, in your textbook, there is additional examples, but make sure you look at Google Classroom for what exactly I want you to do. Make sure you're putting the movie quote in there somewhere. I don't care where, but make sure you're completing that as well. All right? If you have questions, you know where to find me. Peace.